You're listening to the Smart Girl's Guide to BC Family Law. In today's episode, we are discussing
how to harness the power of legal research.
So don't go anywhere. Hi, this is the Smart Girl's Guide to BC Family Law, and we're here to help you understand and navigate the confusing aspects of divorce and litigation.
Going through a divorce can be emotionally draining, confusing, and incredibly expensive.
Trust us, we know.
But it doesn't have to be. Listen, we're not lawyers, but we do have personal experience as successful, self-represented litigants. And we want you to learn from our costly mistakes and give you the inside secrets we wish we had.
Look, our goal is to teach you the rules of this game, how the BC family law system works, and the steps you can take to reach a resolution as quickly as possible while spending as little money as possible.
Whether you decide to self-represent or hire a lawyer, this podcast is for you. Disclaimer, we're not lawyers and nothing herein is legal advice, but educational content and personal insight only. Hey guys, welcome back. So today we're going to be talking about legal research. Now, legal research is not just important, it's absolutely crucial to the success of your case. It's really the backbone of any persuasive argument, providing the basis you need to reinforce your position and to convince a judge to make orders you are seeking. And in today's episode, we're going to give you a little bit of an inside scoop on how to do this and how to really find the case law that'll help your position.
Yeah, because you might be asking yourself, what's the big deal with case law? Well, without the proper case law, you don't have the foundation to make your legal argument and to potentially convince the judge or the master to rule in your favor. They're coming in blind. They've heard applications before yours. They're going to applications after yours. They don't know the nuances of your case. They don't know what the details are. So you have to be able to provide them with the facts, the issues, and the law relating to your matter, and give them examples of previous cases and rulings, because that's what they will rely on to make the orders that you're seeking.
Exactly. And judges rely on cases in addition to the facts to make the rulings in your position. So this might be when you're going to trial. It might be when you're making an application in chambers. But ultimately, without the appropriate legal research, you're going to not strengthen your position and it'll be much more challenging. So,
Yeah.
A judge is looking at it, for example, Farah, like let's say you're wanting to have 100% reapportionment of your home in your favor. The law says that 50% should be divided by both parties, but you're arguing 100% should be divided in your favor. You actually have to find case law that supports that, a case that's similar to yours where the judge ruled in that favor, because it goes against what the BC Family Law Act says. So that's really the whole point of legal research.
Yeah. And you might be asking yourself, where do I start? How do I go about this? Well, we say bookmark CanLii. That's CAN, like Nancy, LII.org.
You got it. So CanLii, that's a weird word. I know when I first came across it, it was from the law library. I wish that I knew about CanLii way early on in my case. What's CanLii all about?
Well, so CanLii, it's a nonprofit organization. It was founded about 20 years ago. I think it was 2001, by all of the different law societies in Canada. So it is a Canadian database, and it provides all of the case authorities that you need. And its mandate is to make efficient and open access to the judicial decisions or the reasons for judgment, as well as legislative documents. And they do this obviously for the legal profession, but certainly members of the public also have access permanently to be able to use CanLii as a database to search decisions from all of the different Canadian jurisdictions.
You got it. And, we're actually going to just give you a snapshot here. It's kind of hard to explain things just over audio, but we are doing a recorded webinar. We're going to have paid and free resources on our website as well to actually show you and demo how to use CanLii and how to research within it. So I do encourage you guys to head on over to our site. We're going to link that below in the show notes as well.
Yeah.
But why don't we talk about it a little bit further? So I don't know, Farah, do you have any examples of when you used case law and CanLii in your case and how that all worked?
Yeah, I had one application that I can remember where I was asking the court to have our joint expert in our matter do a second version of the valuation. and the case authorities, meaning the legal basis for doing this, had been set out in a case prior to mine, and so I relied on that case to say to the judge, it's completely appropriate for the court expert to do multiple versions of a valuation, and then at trial the judge will decide which valuation approach they want to use. And so I relied on previous cases, and the judge accepted my position because he could cite that prior case and say this is the analysis that the judge before him had done, and it made sense that the court's expert should be able to do multiple versions of analysis, and then the trial judge would ultimately decide which analysis was the one to use in court. So legal research is really important, and whether you're working with a lawyer or you're self-representing, it really is the foundation of your case, and it's going to help you and the court to better understand the complexities of your case. It's a way to communicate your position to both your lawyer and to the judge or master that is hearing your case, why they should rule in your favor.
Yeah.
And there's a couple places where you would put your legal basis, and if you're drafting a notice of application, and you can head on over to our website to look at the free and paid resources that we have, including ones on how to write a notice of application and others, where you have to set out in a prescribed format in the notice of application your orders that you're seeking, the factual basis, and then part 3 is the legal basis, and that's where you're going to set out the legal authorities and the cases that you're relying on.
Mm-hmm.
So the court can say, okay, this makes sense to me that this is why this order should be granted, and here's the legal basis on which to do that. So yeah, CanLii, really, really important. It is a database which is searchable, and our webinar will talk more about how to conduct searches in CanLii to find cases that are similar to yours and that mirror your fact bases. But you do have to have cases, whether you're making a chambers application, but also when you're preparing your trial materials and your trial brief, the court's going to want to know which cases you're relying on and that you're asking them to consider when they make their ruling.
Mm-hmm, absolutely. I just want to emphasize that as well, right? This is really helpful. Let's say you are working with a lawyer, a full-time lawyer, for your entire case. If you're able to research your case and show to your lawyer, hey, my case is very similar to this one. My case is very similar to this one that happened, 5 years ago or whatever. That will position your complexities to your lawyer in a way where he will really understand how a judge ruled or did not rule in your favor. And it'll make everything much easier as part of your legal strategy. So knowing what I know now, I wish I had done this right at the beginning of my case, because I was arguing a lot of positions that went against just the straight application of the law. So I had to find case law that would support my positions.
Yeah. And the nice thing is that when you are in CanLii, you can start to do searches using those kind of phrases or specific words or terms that apply to your matter. And in that webinar, we're going to break down how to read a case authority, how to look at reasons for judgment, what a citation is, because it can be overwhelming. So we'll break all of that down in the webinar. But CanLii is definitely a resource you should bookmark, and it's one that I know I relied on extensively in finding cases that would, substantiate my position, whether it was on child support or spousal support or property division. And it was key to find cases that as much as possible had the same fact pattern or factual matrix as my own case. So the length of the marriage had to be very similar. The issues in dispute had to be, almost similar. As much as you can find cases that mirror what your situation is really going to make it, very
as close
hard
as
for a judge to not go against that when the facts are almost exactly the same.
Exactly. So yeah, some of the keywords that you might search within CanLii are, like we said, spousal support, child support, short-term marriage, traditional marriage,
compensatory support.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of other things. Prenuptial agreement.
Unequal division of property. Like so there's lots of terms.
Yeah.
Yep.
Lots of terms and lots of applications for case law.
Yeah. And I mean, listen, wouldn't it be nice if you could just say to your lawyer, here, can you just take care of everything? Can you figure all of this out? And, kind of make it happen. But the reality is that many of our listeners are here because they cannot afford to retain or continue to use a lawyer, and you're having to conduct legal research yourself. And it is time consuming. It is, you can spend hours and hours going through cases, looking at each one to see whether or not it is relevant to your matter. And if you're having a lawyer or a law clerk do that, it can be very, very expensive, and your fees can go up very, very quickly. So we want to help our listeners learn how to navigate CanLii, how to use this massive database. We'll break down, which court are you in? How do you look at cases that are applicable to the level of court that you're at, whether it's the Supreme Court or the Court of Appeal, or maybe even the Supreme Court of Canada. So all that will break down, but it is important to become familiar with case authorities and how they can be used to really bolster and support your case.
You got it. So I think with that being said, I don't know, any concluding words of wisdom? I think really to our listeners, highly encourage you guys to check out our website, check out our groups. We'll link them in the show notes. We're going to actually host this webinar. You can take a look at it, and that's really, we're going to dive into the nitty gritty. But any concluding words here for listeners, Farah?
Get to know CanLii. Take the time to familiarize yourself with cases that can support your position. Understand, how a judge goes through the analysis that they have to undertake in order to write a reason for judgment and to make a decision. And we're here to help you figure all of that out. So tune in again. Thank you for being with us, and we hope to have you join us again.
Head on over to smartgirlsguide.ca for free and paid resources to help you with your divorce. That's smartgirlsguide.ca.
Disclaimer. We are not lawyers, and nothing herein is legal advice but educational content and personal insight only.
Catch you on the next episode of Smart Girl's Guide to BC Family Law. Bye!
Bye.